Mom gave my college fund away, not realizing I was her new boss. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. My new direct report sat down, and my mother froze. That's the first sentence I write in the incident log, a bland HR document that suddenly feels like a confession. I'm Jordan, 27, promoted last week to project coordinator overseeing onboarding for regional ops. I've built my life from the spare parts of other people's promises, part-time classes, 2 roommates, a bus pass, a careful stack of policies. My job matters because rules are the only thing that ever protected me. If I mishandle this, if I blur the line between blood and compliance, I could lose the title I fought for, the reputation I stitched together, and the thin confidence I wear like a rented suit. My mother's name appears on the candidate list as Valerie R. Mercer, an admin temp placed through a contractor with a background check in progress. She smiles like it's a reunion, not a power inversion. Jordan, she says, bright as glass. What a surprise. I feel everyone's eyes like security cameras, even though it's just me, the swivel chairs, and the stapler that misfires. She once told me my college fund never materialized, some messy bank thing, some vague story about a recession that swallowed numbers whole. I learned to stop asking. Now she is here, hired into a system I help maintain, the place where paper trails are carved into stone. We'll keep this professional, I say, voice even, palms damp. I lay out the schedule, the training modules, the policy against supervising relatives, the very one I recommended last quarter. She nods, unbothered. Of course, she says, we're adults. I file the disclosure to HR before lunch and watch the email fly into the shared inbox like a flare. Somewhere down the week's hallway, a public exposure waits for me, and for her, and for a story I thought we had buried with my freshman year dreams. Then my phone buzzes with a bank alert that shouldn't be mine at all. My mother's onboarding form lists my old 529 account as her emergency contact. I used to believe money was like weather. Sometimes you plan a picnic, sometimes it storms. Valerie believed money was theater. You never know who's watching, she'd say, smoothing her blouse, signing holiday cards with a flourish. We lived in a small rental she staged like a showroom, cushions fluffed, bills hidden in a decorative box labeled JOY. The college fund was Dad's parting gift, years before he left for a warmer life and quieter obligations. He made 4 deposits into a $529, $5,000 for $1,000, $6,000, then one grand finale of $10,000. Numbers I recited like scripture. Senior year, I asked to view the account. Don't nag, Valerie said, offended. By graduation week, she said it never existed. I should hustle, apply for aid, get practical. Some of us don't go to college, she told Aunt Rosa on speaker, the way people say some of us breathe air. The fresh wound bloomed last month when I asked her to co-sign a small, low-interest loan. Why can't you just accept your lane, she said. Project coordinators aren't exactly surgeons. The contempt didn't slice. It eroded, like water under a door you can't reseal. Aunt Rosa remembers before the performances, a woman who packed lunches and laughed at sitcom reruns. Now, Valerie floats on reputation. Church committees, charity auctions, those Instagram photos with borrowed sparkle. Today, in my office, her perfume drifts like a story I can't afford to reread. She compliments the ergonomic chair. She asks about benefits timing. Her voice is winter sunshine, warm but without heat. Then her eyes catch the framed certificate I paid for with 3 semesters of night classes. Congrats, she says. Ladder climbing looks good on you. I swallow the old ache and nod. Thank you. I answer, because I am fluent and polite. Then I notice the enamel pin on her bag, a charity's logo I remember from a suspicious receipt. She wore the badge of the foundation that supposedly ate my future. I keep an HR face, but the pin keeps flashing in my head like an error light. During onboarding, I confirm her personal email for tax forms, and a domain I haven't seen in years cuffs my ankle. The same Proton address I once found in a dusty thread about tuition alternatives. That night, my phone pings, a stray bank alert routed to my old Gmail alias, the one still linked to Dad's financial updates when I turned 18. 529 distribution confirmation. It reads, dated 6 years ago, 2 months before Valerie told me the fund was a myth. I scroll, heart doing push-ups, and find a masked account number that matches the one on her emergency contact form. It's sloppy, almost brazen, like she never expected me to be in rooms where numbers behave. I tell myself I'm overreacting. People reuse emails. Pins can be thrifted. Distribution confirmations can misroute when life gets weird. Then I spot the resume she gave our contractor. Inflated titles, a project she couldn't have led, and a gap bridged by consulting, that elastic word. We'll get verification, I tell myself, because policy is a railing. But policy is also a mirror. It reflects who breaks it, not who needs it. I message Aunt Rosa. Do you remember the charity Valerie loved? She replies in cautious dots. Then, hearts of promise. Keith ran it. The boyfriend. Keith, a man who smiled like a coupon and talked like an elevator pitch. Jordan, Aunt Rosa writes, don't be alone with this. My stomach tightens. My desk plant droops, suddenly heavy with metaphor. I open the shared drive and pull the old family folder I swore I wouldn't revisit, the one with scanned tax letters and a list of account nicknames. Jordan 529. The last edit date winks from the corner, edited by a username I recognize from my mother's laptop sticker. The edit happened the week she swore the account never existed at all. Sunday night family call, Valerie on speaker, Mia chiming in from her polished student apartment paid by scholarships and part-time tutoring. Project coordinators are traffic cops with spreadsheets. Valerie jokes, casual daggers. I'm proud, though, structure is important. I let it pass, then ask, did you ever hear back from Hearts of Promise? She pauses. That little community group from years ago? Irrelevant. The line crackles with small lies. After the call, I review the employment application again. Under previous employer, she lists a clinic I know well. I call a friend there and, carefully, ask about Valerie Mercer. She volunteered at a gala, my friend says, but she never worked here. The same evening, a process server tries our old address. According to a public docket, I stumble upon searching Keith's name. Aline. Not ours, but adjacent, like lightning striking the field next door. Whispers of unpaid debts coil through the courthouse portal. Dissolved nonprofit filings, late annual reports, a director who vanished onto a yacht-shaped excuse. At work, I request Valerie's verification through the contractor, attaching a neutral note. Please confirm dates and titles. HR eyes on me, professional distance measured in pixels. Valerie breezes in Monday, late but smiling, a floral notebook clutched like a prop. Traffic, she says, then leans over my desk too familiarly. We should have lunched, kiddo. My team lead passes, clocking the body language, and leaves without a word. I draft a memo about potential conflict of interest mitigation, reassign her to a different supervisor, adjust reporting lines, preserve integrity. The contractor emails back, unable to confirm clinic employment. At 4:11 p.m., I get a calendar invite I didn't expect, an HR compliance refresher, plus a flagged note. Family relationship disclosure, follow-up. My chest tightens, but in a clean way. Fear can be clarifying. Then a PDF arrives. Distribution request, beneficiary, Jordan Mercer. Signature in a handwriting I know. Years ago, when the fund vanished, exile wasn't banishment to a far country. It was 3 bus routes and a futon. I stocked grocery shelves at night, napped on breaks, stacked classes on afternoons, and measured success in laundry cycles completed before midnight. Valerie told me to make do, while Mia finished high school with SAT tutors and glossy college tours I watched through Instagram stories. You're resilient, Valerie said, as if resilience were interest earned on a loan I never agreed to. Aunt Rosa handed me used cookware and a key to her garage whenever the landlord needed repairs. She also told me the truth in quiet syllables. You can love someone and still not let them wreck you. When I finally got this job, entry-level HR support, I kept my head low and my notes meticulous. Small roles aren't small when they build the bridge you walk across. Now, in my office, the PDF sits like a time capsule detonator. It shows a cashier's check for $14,000 made to Hearts of Promise Foundation, dated 2 months before my orientation week should have begun, and a second withdrawal for $7,500 labeled emergency tuition. The signature is Valerie's unreadable loop, The witness line a scrawl that looks like K. Hanley. Keith's last name is Hanley. I print nothing. I screenshot nothing. I log everything in the compliance notebook we keep under lock. I breathe. Policy is not revenge. I remind myself. It's protection. I also remember Mia's text last year. Mom helped cover my first semester gap. She said a family friend donated. Shame prickles my scalp. Was I the donor who never got invited to the gala? I call Aunt Rosa. If I push this rock, I say, it might roll over all of us. Aunt Rosa whispers, steady as a metronome, that I should look under Valerie's aliases. Aliases are a kind of camouflage, and Valerie knows how to blend. When Aunt Rosa says, check the aliases, I open a spreadsheet and list V. Rivera, Valar, M. And the one that knots my stomach, Valerie Rios, the name she used before she married my father. The contractor portal shows identity docs were uploaded, but I'm not authorized to view them without cause. So I start where I can. I search the state registry for Hearts of Promise and find a tangle of near duplicates. Hearts Promising, Hearts of Providence, shells at the same mailbox shop. A 2019 directory names a program director, V. Rios. My pen stops mid-chew. I pull the ACH memos again. The descriptor doesn't reference a nonprofit at all. It's a personal checking account ending in 1446, opened months after the scholarship letter that pretended generosity with my stolen future. I type Keith Hanley into public filings. Dissolved LLC. Address matching the mailbox row. At lunch, I go to the bank with my beneficiary request. We need proof of qualified expenses if a plan triggers review. The manager says, careful as a metronome. She can't confirm whether my plan was reviewed, but she slides me the audit department's address like a breadcrumb. Back at my desk, I recheck Valerie's onboarding. My old 529 nickname in her emergency contact field. A secondary email, Val. Rios. Foundation at Proton. On her tax form, late-night timestamp edits that match the year those letters appeared in the registry. This isn't weather. This is arson with confetti. I draft a neutral request to the contractor. Please confirm historical ID names used. I lock my notebook, look up, and see Valerie laughing at the copier like the machine told a joke only she gets. The office lights feel like interrogation lamps pointed at both of us, and my pulse counts down in threes. Then an ACH trail surfaces, transfers to Keith's account every other Thursday. The transfers are small, like tips slipped under a napkin. $450, $610, $375. They spike near the first of the month and 2 days before credit card posting dates. I map them on a calendar, and the shape they make looks like dependency wearing a tie. I take a personal morning and visit the bank again. I'm the beneficiary, I say. I'm requesting the distribution history to verify qualified expenses. The clerk repeats the script, but her eyes soften. She's seen people crawl out of holes dug by someone else's shovel. She adds a note to my request. Expedite if possible. Outside, I call the courthouse records office. The clerk directs me to scanned annuals. One shows a photocopied scholarship acknowledgement, awarded to J. Mercer, signed by Val R. M. Program Director. My scholarship was my own money assigned back to me through a false front, like paying me with my own wallet. Aunt Rosa meets me at a diner, slides into the booth, and studies my notes. You need someone who saw the mail move, she says. Try the mailbox shop. MS. Davila squints at us, then remembers my face from holiday boxes. Valerie, she says. Box 214. A man picked up most envelopes. Brown leather jacket, citrus cologne, always asked for tape. Keith has a scent trail. Back at work, I cross-check Valerie's contractor edits with our building badge logs. One upload time from years ago lines up with a late-night visit when she used the restroom. A temp terminal nearby was active at the exact minute the file appeared. I breathe slow and steady until my vision steadies. I should reassign her pending HR guidance, but we are understaffed and every supervisor has a full plate. She remains on my roster, smiling, efficient, and slipperier than a polished excuse. Then my inbox pings with an auto-forward. A message intended for Keith lands in my lap because Valerie mistyped a letter. The subject line reads, in all caps, final transfer before they notice the audit flag. The forwarded email is short and transactional. Wire lands Friday. Send confirmation. H. The signature block carries a logo for Growth Lab, Heath's Dissolved LLC. Attached is a one-page donor impact report featuring a stock photo of a graduate tossing a cap into the air, no school name, no EIN, no audit contact. I checked the metadata. The author is V. Rios. That's the what. Not charity, not tuition, but a flow of small wires feeding a failing venture masquerading as philanthropy. The why is still foggy. Ego? Control? Fear of seeming ordinary? But the stakes snap into focus. If the 529 custodians audit flags misuse distributions, I could owe taxes and penalties on money I never touched, my credit takes a bruise it did not earn, and HR integrity is at risk because my direct report is part of a private scheme intersecting our company's systems. Mia texts a photo of a bursar receipt. Mom covered my lab fee again. An angel donor helped, smiley face. My thumbs hover. I don't tell her that Angel signs emails with citrus cologne. Instead, I ask for the transaction date. It's the same Friday as one of the spikes. I add a column. Impact on MIA. Aunt Rosa calls. You cannot carry both the truth and their comfort, she says. Pick the truth. I email our HR director a neutral request to discuss supervision structure due to a sensitive relationship. No details yet. The director replies with a time. Thursday, conference room B. Valerie passes my desk with a smile pinned on like a badge. Dinner Friday, she chirps. Mia will be thrilled. I nod because the plan forming in my head needs witnesses, timestamps, and a table where lies sound louder. If I follow this money one more step, it collides with my job. I gather proof like a paramedic gathers vitals. Precise, time-stamped, verifiable. I record a call to the mailbox shop, lawful in our state with one-party consent, confirming box 214's rental period and authorized pickup names, and note that K. Hanley appeared on the account. I compile the ACH schedule, the scholarship letter, the dissolved LLC, and the email Valerie misrouted. I draft a script that stays professional. Scope, facts, risk. I ask Attorney Sue, our external counsel for compliance trainings, if she can observe a meeting as a neutral third party. Send me a summary and your goal, she says. The goal is hard to write without sounding like revenge, so I write, protect the company, protect beneficiaries, set boundaries. My dilemma stands in the doorway. Confront privately first, or file formally, and let the process run without my trembling hands. I picture Valerie's practiced tears, Mia's collapsing trust, the way guilt can be used like duct tape. I schedule two things, an HR meeting Thursday with Attorney Sue on video, a family dinner Friday with Aunt Rosa present. Between those, I plan to ask Valerie, as her supervisor, to clarify identity documents submitted to the contractor. If she lies at work, I document and escalate. If she admits, I steer her toward restitution in writing. I sleep badly, a held breath with a heartbeat. Thursday morning, I wear the calmest shirt I own. Conference room B hums with fluorescent quiet. Our HR director sits, laptop open. Attorney Sue appears on screen, efficient and warm. I place my binder on the table, and the weight of it feels like a verdict I didn't want to hold. Valerie opens the door smiling, until she sees the binder and the screen. Jordan, she says lightly, is this about my timesheet? I gesture to the chair opposite. It's about supervision and documentation. HR opens. Conflict of interest policy, options to reassign, expectations for accurate onboarding records. Valerie nods earnestly, a performance that once worked on teachers and landlords. Of course, she says, I want to do everything properly. I keep my voice level. The contractor uploaded identification under multiple names. Can you explain the discrepancies? A beat. Old passport, maiden name, she says, quick as a label printer. Attorney Sue asks for dates. Valerie's answers wobble. HR requests she provides supporting documents within 5 business days and notes that falsifying records can affect assignment eligibility. The meeting is cordial and cold. As we adjourn, Valerie leans close. Family shouldn't make family jump through hoops, she whispers. You know what it cost me to raise you. The guilt trip lands like a practice dart. I meet her eyes. We're at work, I say. That evening, at dinner, she turns to theater. Mia serves salad. Valerie serves nostalgia. Jordan has always been so procedural, she laughs. Remember when he cataloged the pantry? Aunt Rosa folds her napkin. We're talking about money tonight, she says. Valerie dabs her lips. The fund never existed, she says, once more with feeling. I pull the printouts I saved for home, the mailbox rental log, the ACH schedule, the scholarship letter with her signature. Mia blinks at the table like it just tilted. Valerie's smile cracks and reassembles into outrage. He's twisting paperwork, she says. This is harassment. My fork feels heavy as a gavel. I breathe, count to 5, and keep my voice even. Tomorrow, I say, we'll let neutral people read the same documents aloud. Friday, I arrange the room like a stage that favors facts. Conference room, A. Projector warmed, copies numbered, sign-in sheet at the door. HR sits centered, our director to the left, attorney Sue on video, the contractor rep dialed in. I asked Mia to come as a family observer. She arrives early, cheeks pale, hair in a hasty bun, hands gripping a notebook like a flotation device. Valerie enters late, coat draped regally, lips composed into neutral victory. What is this? She asks, already aggrieved, already performing. I open the binder. Today we'll clarify work documents and a separate personal matter that affects legal risk, I say. Neutral isn't numb, neutral is armor. Exhibit A, mailbox rental records with authorized pickups bearing K. Hanley. Exhibit B, the scholarship acknowledgement, naming me as recipient through Hearts of Promise, signed by Val R. M. And a metadata printout showing V. Rios as author. Exhibit C, ACH calendar aligning wires to Keith's LLC 2 days before posted credit cycles. Exhibit D, bank audit address and my beneficiary distribution history request filed last week. We'll read together, I tell the room, then to Valerie, and you can correct anything inaccurate. She scoffs. This is a family misunderstanding hijacked by a petty bureaucrat, she says. Mia flinches. HR reads the conflict of interest policy aloud. Falsified or inconsistent onboarding details, identity variances, potential grounds for termination from assignment. Attorney Sue asks gently, Ms. Mercer, did you control or benefit from funds intended for Jordan's education? Valerie's stare hardens. I moved money during emergencies, she says. Families do that. Emergencies with a mailbox and a brand guide. Aunt Rosa asks from the doorway. I'd asked her to witness, too. I play the lawfully recorded voicemail from Keith. Val, confirm Friday's wire. Then we message Mia about her bursar. Valerie's shoulders lift, a breath gathering either confession or thunder. Mia whispers, Mom, so softly it hurts. Attorney Sue lays out options. Restitution plan, sworn statement, employment consequences through the contractor, and a referral to the 529 custodian with our documentation. No one is handcuffing anyone, she says calmly. But we are preserving truth. Valerie reached for the binder, and the fire alarm screamed. We spill into the hallway's red strobe, a theater of chaos that can't drown a paper trail. Facilities clears the floor. We reconvene in a smaller room, still humming. HR restarts the record. Valerie dabs her eyes with a tissue she conjures like a prop. I was afraid, she says, voice trembling on cue. Afraid Jordan would waste it on some liberal arts degree. Afraid we'd look poor. Afraid Keith would leave if I couldn't invest. Fear, ego, codependence. 3 legs of a broken stool. Invest. Mia repeats. In what, Mom? Valerie's gaze flicks to the ceiling, then to me. In us, she says, and the lie lands with the weight of a wish. I click to the next slide. Growth Labs bank statements from public court exhibits, showing deposits that mirror my 529 distributions by date and amount, then ATM withdrawals labeled casino cash out. The motive is no longer noble, it's neon. Valerie snaps. You set me up, she hisses. You love rules more than family. I love not being stolen from. I answer, voice steady. Attorney Sue details consequences. Contractor suspension pending verification, potential reporting to the 529 custodian and, if warranted, the State Charity Bureau. Restitution terms drafted today. Valerie points at me like a lawyer on TV. He always resented me, she says. He's small. Aunt Rosa exhales a single syllable. Enough, like a bell. Mia presses both palms flat on the table. Mom, did you sign my name on anything? Silence pulls the oxygen from the room. Valerie's jaw tightens. Keith handled the paperwork, she says, too quickly. The door opens, security guides and a thin man with a citrus aura and a bad grin. I'm here to collect equipment Val borrowed, Keith declares. HR blinks. We issued her nothing, she says. Keith smirks at me, then sees the slide and the dates, and the smirk decays. The mask slips on both of them at once, exposing the thing beneath rhetoric and perfume, entitlement with a gambling habit and a borrowed pen. Then Keith walked in with security, demanding his property back. HR escorts Keith out and notifies building security. His citrus cologne lingers like a caution label. The contractor suspends Valerie's assignment effective immediately, citing documentation discrepancies and a pending investigation. Attorney Sue helps me draft 2 documents, a sworn statement of my findings with exhibits, and a proposed restitution agreement, monthly repayments into a dedicated account, plus a written apology acknowledging misuse of funds and intent to deceive via a sham scholarship. The bank's audit department emails that same afternoon. They've opened a review. Because I didn't receive the distributions or claim qualified expenses, initial tax penalties may be mitigated if misuse is confirmed. I feel relief and nausea braided together. Mia leaves the building with Aunt Rosa, dazed, carrying a manila folder like it's radioactive. Valerie lingers near the elevators, eyes glossy, breath hitching like a stalled engine. You're killing me, she whispers. You're choosing strangers over your mother. I'm choosing truth over your stories, I say, and it isn't triumph, it's triumph. That night, I cannot sleep. 2 a.m. Emails multiply. Audit requests, HR follow-ups, a LinkedIn message from someone at Hearts of Promise who saw my name in filings and would appreciate a conversation off the record. I forward it to Sue and let it sit like a spark in a bucket of sand. Monday, the contractor confirms termination. Valerie texts 4 times. Bargaining, rage, then poetry of guilt. I mute the thread and book therapy. At work, people talk in gentle, office-safe ways. Tough week. Let us know if you need space. I keep showing up because showing up is the muscle I've built. The bank asks for any notarized evidence. We schedule a notary for Thursday. By evening, the adrenaline fades and a different hit arrives on my phone. A photo of Mia's signature next to Keith's, inked on a bridge loan application last semester. Mia texted one sentence. I signed for a loan with Keith. Bring the paperwork, I tell Mia, and she arrives at my apartment with a backpack full of saris. The bridge loan is a high-interest predator with teal branding and teeth. Keith co-signed. Valerie advised. A note in the margin says, we call attorney Sue, who walks us through options. Dispute based on fraud or coercion. Contact the state's student loan ombuds, freeze Mia's credit, and file a police report if Keith forged anything else. Mia's hands shake. I didn't want you to think I was spoiled, she says. Mom said you'd gloat. I pour tea, the only ritual I trust. We fix things, I tell her. We don't gloat. Sue drafts a separate agreement. Valerie's restitution with automatic transfers, a no-contact clause concerning company systems, and an apology letter addressed to me and to Mia. Guardrails, Sue says. Not prison. I book therapy for myself, too, and attend the first session like a skeptic learning to breathe through a paper bag. We build a budget for Mia. Aunt Rosa helps her find campus work that won't eat her GPA. I write boundaries on a sticky note and tape it to the inside of my cabinet. No secret rescues. No cash gifts. Written agreements only. Valerie leaves voicemails in 3 acts. Pleading, raging, then a 3-minute silence soundtracked by shallow breaths. I do not answer. At the notary, Valerie signs the restitution plan, eyes glittering with contained thunder. You're humiliating me, she says. I steady my pen. You're paying me back. The apology letter appears in my inbox at 6:12 a.m. The next day, stilted, careful, a choreography of responsibility that still sidesteps the word stole. I reply with one line, acknowledged. The quiet that follows isn't peace, it's scaffolding for it. That evening, a white envelope slides under my door, Valerie's handwriting looping across the front. Last offer. Inside, a cashier's check for half the amount, and a note, destroy the rest. Valerie slid an envelope across my doorframe labeled, in ink, last offer. I take the envelope to Aunt Rose's kitchen because some choices require witnesses and coffee. It's another performance, she says, flipping the check over with 2 fingers as if it might bite. I deposit it under the restitution plan, not as hush money, but as payment one of many. I email Sue and attach a photo for the record. Then I sit with the weight of it all, the way money became script, and I refuse the role that made me smaller. Valerie's employment remains terminated. The contractor bars her for documentation fraud for a year. The bank audit confirms non-qualified distributions directed to third-party accounts. They accept my evidence and waive beneficiary penalties, forwarding a report to the State Charity Bureau. Keith disappears from social feeds. A small claims action nips at his heels. Mia starts tutoring through the campus center instead of Keith's side channels, and she texts me screenshots of her budget with little green check marks. I keep going to therapy, where I learn peace is not the same as quiet. Peace is paperwork. In the office, I draft a stronger anti-nepotism policy, not punitive, but preventive, with training on undue influence and financial exploitation. HR rolls it out with a lunch and learn titled Boundaries Are Kindness, which feels like a miracle wrapped in a PowerPoint. Viewers always ask for takeaways, so here's mine. Document everything, separate love from logistics, and never be ashamed of a small job that lets you sleep at night. The hopeful image? Mia and I at the bank, closing her predatory loan, the teller stamping paid like a benediction. The practical takeaway? Put agreements in writing, route money through systems with oversight, and keep your files like a lighthouse. The doorbell rings while I'm typing this last line, a soft sound that turns my stomach like a weather change. Aunt Rosa looks at me, then at the door, and nods once without speaking.